Bonjour.
Michel Turner.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Je vais tout d'abord vous lire les consignes pour la présentation. Est-ce que vous préférez en anglais ou en français?
Anglais, s'il vous plaît.
Parfait. Donc, each team has 20 minutes to present its case to the judge. I will hold up a thing for the last 10, 5 and 2 minutes as well as for the last 30 seconds of the presentation. During the last 10 seconds, I will indicate with my finger the number of seconds remaining. If you have not finished your presentation after 20 minutes, you will be stopped in order to proceed with the QA period. A QA period of a maximum of 5 minutes is allocated to the jury at the end of your presentation. Please note that at any time you cannot say or reference the name of the location of your new university. I will now let the judge introduce themselves. You can start your presentation when they are finished.
Just one quick question. Can you make sure that when you show the time, we have eye contact with you?
Yes.
Before. Alors, bonjour, messieurs, dames. Aujourd'hui, mon équipe, mes compagnons Mia Bernhardt, Christian Anastasia et moi-même, Gabriel De Voice, on est ravis de présenter sur métro et puis des solutions qu'on a trouvées sur les opérations et la logistique. Alors aujourd'hui, l'agenda est défini par la méthode D-Mike. Alors on a défini un problème, on a mesuré, on a analysé le problème aussi. Et puis après, on a trouvé une façon d'améliorer les étapes du problème et puis contrôler pour qu'une solution soit durable. Alors maintenant, on va continuer la présentation en anglais et we'll be continuing the presentation in English. So where are we now? We have current inefficiencies and congestions in the current and the present distribution center. There's not enough space for the next, for the growth in product variety in the upcoming 10 years of 4% growth per year. And there's future expansion in terms of growth in sales as well as the product variety. So we're looking into expanding into a new distribution center from East and Montreal to Laval. So how is Metro looking right now? What is the current structure of the distribution of the different products is the following. And what we found due to the demand and the sales is that this should be the distribution. And so by comparing it side to side, you can see that we've found that there's a discrepancy in terms of the distribution of what is actually being sold and how it's being stored. And this is the problem that we feel is the most prominent in the short term. And so we can see that it's mostly in the 33 Celsius Fahrenheit humid area and vegetables and products, as well as the 35 Celsius Fahrenheit. So there's a discrepancy in the distribution of inventory and the prominence of these products in the market. And so we believe that by restructuring or redistributing the allocated space within the distribution center, we can better accommodate for sales growth and the coming demand. And we will further be talking about how we can implement an IT system that will increase the productivity of both labor and the distribution of inventory throughout the present warehouse and the new distribution center. And now Mia Bernhardt will be talking about how we can adopt a policy to accommodate for extra capacity.
Okay, so what we've seen in our trends is that we can assume a 4% product variance growth in the next year. So this means in order to stay competitive, Metro wants to offer a wide range of goods to its customers. In order to distribute these, we need to make sure our distribution warehouses can hold this added 4% of product variance. As Gabe mentioned, we noticed that the current way that your warehouse is set up, it doesn't really meet what your sales demand numbers are telling you. Currently, you have far too much allocated to products that need to be held at a certain temperature, And what happens is because Metro offers sort of time-sensitive goods, if a product stays on the shelf too long, it will spoil. We can't have products that we aren't selling on our shelves in our distribution centers. We need to move that product, otherwise it means money lost. It means bad news for Metro. So we did a couple calculations, and we saw that there is that we can free up 18% of your warehouse shelves for product that we either are adding. What it looks like based on our current sales data is that it's going to be 33 degrees Fahrenheit products. But the beauty of this solution that we will be presenting is that it is a flexible 18%. You can look at whatever you're selling and fill it up on that spare shelf space. So our decision criteria. First of all, we want to maximize that square footage. Because Metro sells time-sensitive goods, like I said, we don't want them sitting. They need to move. We're currently maximizing our square footage up because most of our forklift fleet is the most vertically, accesses the highest vertical capacity we have. And we only have at our current storage space so much square footage on the ground. So if we're maximizing the amount we can grow up and we are reaching our 4 walls, we need to make sure that we're doing it in the most efficient way possible. Second of all, because we have that constrained space available at our East End Montreal location, distribution warehouse, we forecast that there's no option but to build on the new Laval site that we have purchased already. We can't expand, we have a limit to the amount that we can use our capacity at the Montreal warehouse. So in the interest of our shareholders, who will be seeing a large capital investment as we build on this Laval site, we wanted to find a solution to this at this point that kept costs low, that wouldn't be another financial burden on our shareholders. Because we want to think about them, we want to recognize that they are patient with us as we grow our distribution network. Finally, we want to find a solution that will allow us to establish best practices because this whole stage as we move to this next warehouse is about expansion. We're expanding the number of products that we're offering. We need to be able to control those products. We need to be able to think about them. We need to be able to see them, see how fast they're moving. We need to educate ourselves. So we wanted to find a solution that would give us a better visibility of what we have. So this leads to our 3-prong recommendation, which Chris will explain further.
Okay, so before we go into the recommendation, there's 2 things to keep in mind. First of all, we need to look at the short term, learn from the short term, that's the first thing. But also, Metro is growing at a very rapid pace, and we need to be able to grab that product growth, that product variety, and go with it, and really expand in Canada. So how do we do that? We learn from that short-term growth, and we implement it in a new facility, and then we grow with that. And that's what our recommendation is focused on. And so that's why it's 3-pronged. The first prong we've talked about so far, reallocating this space within the distribution center, so that we can really better understand where the products, what products sell more, and better manage that inventory. So the lower the inventory we have, the better we can manage it, and the more we're efficient in using the space within the distribution center. So that's the first prong. But then the second prong is we need to be able to implement an IT system to better track that inventory, and this will be greatly bettered because of the fact that we have a lower inventory. So as our inventory is lower now and we're better in managing it, we can track it through the IT system. And this IT system will help us implement better forecasts of, first of all, productivity within the distribution centers, but also forecasts of demand that will be coming in and sales that we will be having. So by doing so, first of all, we're reallocating the space. We better understand what the warehouse can take in terms of capacity, but also we're tracking this, and so we can expand to the future. And then by doing so, we've now established best practices, and we should be focused on continual improvement. So we control the system. As we implement the IT system, we learn more. As we learn more, we implement a new way within the warehouse. We better track it, we better categorize everything, and we keep track of all of that. And those databases, that information we use to expand to a different warehouse, a new warehouse. So that is in short what our presentation is, what our recommendation is. So I'll go through the steps a bit more in detail. The first thing is reallocating the square feet. So by doing so, we're eliminating waste by approximately 18% according to our calculation if we properly manage, especially the 33 degrees Fahrenheit and the 35 degree Fahrenheit within the warehouse. So by doing so, we've better managed our space, decreased our inventories, and now we can better track it. Which brings us to our second prong, which is implementing a most IT system. This is a costly solution. We've already bought the system. All we have to do now is implement it, and implement it within our warehouse. This should be easy because now we have lower inventories, and we have experience in those IT systems, so we can really implement it. Also, it's a controllable environment, so tracking all this inventory gives us databases, gives us ways to forecast better, and we can really continuously learn and continuously improve our processes within this warehouse that we already have to expand that. And then finally, again, we have those databases, so it's easy to transition from this to something bigger. So right now, we're implementing more of a test pilot project within our firm, within our distribution center, and then we're expanding that. And so this is why the IT system is a good way to do so. And then the third prong is establishing best practices. So the first part of that is future alignment of space used and demand forecasted. So what we're doing here is that as we understand the space, we understand the demand forecasted, we establish best practices, we establish metrics that we can follow through, and we know that metrics that work in the industry. So by doing so, we can expand the solution. Secondly, we have better ordering systems. So we're tracking the demand. I'm emphasizing here at a very small scale that can be implemented at a larger scale specifically because we're working in the same environment. And then thirdly, analyze employee productivity. All of our employees are are all unionized, and we respect that. We need to back our employees. We cannot have layoffs. So rather than do so, we can really analyze the productivity, see where they work better and how we can use them. We can have cross-functional training between employees so that they can be more productive within the plant. And that those key learnings, those key takeaways, we can move to a new plant, to a bigger plant. And so how does the implementation look like? In the short run, as we mentioned, we have better use of present distribution centers. We have our distribution centers, we learn from them, we implement everything within that center, and we have better allocation of capacity and space. Secondly, we implement IT systems. We track all of the inventory. As it decreases, it gets easier to track, and as we learn more, we continuously improve, and we get a better holding and better handling of our inventory. Then, now we know what's happening in the short run, but then in the long run, we establish those best practices that we can carry on to a bigger and a more lucrative distribution center that we can build from square one. And so what we're talking about here, during that two-year period, we need to be able to learn within the first 6 months, and then from there, as we learn, build our new distribution center, and while having our own distribution, our old one stay there. And while we're building, we can make sure that we implement the best practices in that new distribution center and go from there. And then when we open up that new plant, we can make sure that we follow through our best practices, and we can make sure that we can take on the demand in the future.
So what we've done right now, we've covered what the current inefficiencies are. So the current inefficiency is the allocation of space within the present distribution center. And so through identifying what's coming in, so how many crates of different products are coming in and what's being sold, we can better identify what's being stored in inventory and what's coming out more quickly. And so we can create new systems, new partnerships with our distributors and our suppliers. And so we can create a more streamlined system of currently, short run, streamlined system that decreases the inefficiency of space, assuming that that the different temperature levels can be easily controlled from room to room. And so this is a system that we can then implement into the new plant that's going to be much bigger, and it can then easily address the problem of increased variety in products in the long run for the 10-year growth of 4%. And again, this addresses the future expansion of growth in the new distribution center, more easily seeing how our suppliers can come in with their inventory, how we can store with the new IT system, how we can then be more efficient with the labor being used in the new facility. So there's no major change. It's a very easily streamlined process and very efficient way of moving from the actual distribution center to the new distribution center. And so what I want you to take away from this presentation is that we can reallocate the space in the short run and in the long run. It's a cost-efficient way of looking at the current problems within the distribution center, and it's a way to create sustainable solutions for the product growth, both in variety and in sales. Thank you very much. And we open the floor to questions.
Did I understand correctly that what you're saying, it's within the current building, have enough space, it's just a matter of the walls not being in the right place?
No. What we're suggesting is that when we looked at the allocation of shelves at certain temperatures, so within the warehouse, different areas are at different temperatures. We wanted to move shelves in different areas and lower temperatures in some to better meet what the demand is. It appeared to us that there are huge discrepancies in terms of what you are holding versus what product is moving through. And so that is for a company that sells perishable goods, and for a warehouse that is focused on dairy and fruits and vegetables, that was a alarming area that we could improve.
And can you define what is long run? Is it more than 2 years? And because you're saying that we should open up a new plan, when is that scope?
So in terms of long run here, we mean within 2 years is where it starts, but long run should be over the next 10 years, because when we establish those best practices, we learn, again, it's continuous learning, so we keep on improving. But the reason why we're dividing it into short run and long run is because we can't just go into building a new facility without making sure that we have all of our bases covered, so that we understand what the demand is going to be, and then we use that to expand in the long run. Within 2 years, within 10 years, we use those practices.
And just to add on to what he's saying, the termination of the lease is in 2 years for the actual distribution center, and you already have the land to create a new distribution center. So within that 2-year framework, you could start building the new plant or the new distribution center, and then easily move on to a bigger and more accommodating space.
Bigger being how much bigger?
It depends on the construction capabilities of the new site.
Okay.
In the implementation, at some point, I heard that you said we can't have layoff. Did I hear well?
Yeah.
Okay, so most of our employees in the distribution site are full-time.
Yeah.
And due to the nature of the industry, most of them are unionized.
Yeah.
We do take on part-time workers, which costs us $27 an hour, when we have unexpected surges of extra shipments or extra incoming product. One of the great benefits of our solution is that it provides more consistency, it provides less variance, and one of the cost savings that it actually provides, in addition to being a no-cost implementation, due to the lower variance, we can hopefully diminish the number of part-time workers we have to hire to fill in the gaps. To answer your question, no, we do not plan on firing any of our unionized workers.
You did not plan. It could be possible, but you did not.
It could be possible with
Okay.
the new facility coming in 2 years. What would be a wonderful opportunity is, as it will be a larger facility, the solution will provide greater efficiencies. Therefore, we can put perhaps the extra man hours that our unionized workers would be seeing into the larger facility and making it running even better.
Okay.
Can I just add to that just one quick point? In terms of also the best practices we're establishing, we're also looking into, for example, having cross-functional training for our employees. So essentially, rather than laying them off, we can use them in places in expansion or also in places where they're needed mostly. So rather than laying them off, we're getting more loyalty from them and we're using them better.
Okay, so it's just because at the point that I was on the feeling that you think that the collective agreement did not allow layoff. Okay, I'm a human resources guy. So.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a small question for you. Do you plan to keep exactly the same transportation equipments and racking? Exactly the same?
So what we have now is we have a fleet of, I believe, 12 forklifts which can reach 34 feet. Depending on the construction of the new facility, we do plan on it being larger. We don't have specific numbers, but as the new facility becomes, as construction moves along, we'll have better capacity numbers. We only have 2 forklifts which are...
It's done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we could answer questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.